Ladies, let me tell you something. A man may never come out and say it, but there's a moment, clear as day in his heart, when he secretly decides she's the one, and it's not when you think. It's not about how you look, what you wear, or how perfect you try to be. It's about that one powerful feeling you give him that no other woman does. And today, I'm about to break down the exact moment that changes everything in a man's mind. See, a man may never come out and say it, but there's a moment, clear as day in his heart, when he decides she's the one. You might not notice it. He might not even admit it to himself right away. But trust me, he knows. Now, here's the truth. Men don't fall in love through long talks or fancy dinners or you sending good morning texts. Those are nice, but that ain't what makes him choose you for life. A man decides you're the one in the small hidden moments. It happens when he looks at you and sees peace. When the world is beating him up and everything outside is loud, stressful, confusing, and then he gets around you and feels calm. You become his quiet place, his safe zone. That's when the thought creeps in, I could do forever with her. It happens when he sees you respect yourself. I'm not talking about how much money you make or how good you look. I'm talking about how you carry yourself. When you have standards, when you don't let him or anybody else walk all over you. Men are drawn to women who know their value. And when he realizes he can't play games with you, that's when he starts playing for keeps. It happens when he notices how you handle life. Maybe it's the way you treat people, the way you talk to the waitress, the way you talk to kids, the way you talk to his mother. He's watching all that. A man pays attention. And when he sees kindness, grace, and strength in the little things, he's thinking, that's the kind of woman I want raising my kids, building my home, walking through life with me. And let me tell you, it happens when he feels you believe in him. Not trying to change him into somebody else. Not nagging him about what he ain't, but standing by him saying, I see what you can become. A man will fight the whole world when he knows he has a woman in his corner. And the one who gives him that feeling, that's the one he'll give his whole life to. So don't get it twisted. It's not about how perfect you look or whether you cook his favorite dish. It's about how you make him feel safe, respected, inspired, believed in. That's when the light bulb goes off in his heart. That's when he secretly decides she's the one. Now the real secret. He won't always tell you right away, but his actions will. He'll show up differently. He'll protect differently. He'll commit differently. Because once a man has made that decision, there's no turning back. Do you want me to expand this into a longer keynote style speech that's around 4,000, 5,000 words with storytelling and emotional buildup like you've been doing with your other speeches? Or should I keep it short and powerful like this? When a man decides you're the one, it often starts with the feeling of peace you bring into his life. And I'm not talking about silence or the absence of arguments. I'm talking about that deep calm a man feels when he can finally breathe around you. The kind of calm that makes him forget about all the noise in the world, all the stress at work, all the weight on his shoulders. Because the truth is, a man can carry 1,000 pounds of pressure all day. He can fight battles outside the home. He can walk around looking tough, handling responsibilities, dealing with people, chasing goals, but deep down, he craves a place where he doesn't have to be on guard, where he doesn't have to perform, where he can just exist as himself. And when you become that place, That safe space, that moment of exhale, that's when a man's heart starts whispering to him that you might be the one. See, men won't always say it out loud. They won't always explain it, but peace is the most valuable thing in their world. More than beauty, more than money, more than flashy lifestyles, peace is what makes a man stay, and you can see it in how he responds to you. Because if he feels tension, if he feels judged, if he feels like he has to walk on eggshells, he'll pull away. But if he feels accepted, if he feels like he can sit in silence with you and it still feels good, if he can laugh freely, if he can share his thoughts without fear, then he starts seeing you not just as someone he likes, but as someone he could build a life with. That peace shows up in the small moments, like when he comes home after a long day and you don't bombard him with complaints. Instead, you give him space, a smile, maybe just your presence, and suddenly the stress melts away. It shows up when you're out together and you're not trying to compete, not trying to impress everybody else, but simply being yourself, grounded, steady, and he feels safe in that energy, because men are drawn to women who don't bring chaos. They are drawn to women whose spirit feels like home. And it's not about being perfect or never arguing. It's about the overall atmosphere you create, one that makes him want to return again and again. A man feels that peace when he realizes he doesn't have to hide parts of himself. He doesn't have to fake strength when he's tired. He doesn't have to cover his weaknesses, because you don't use them against him. You don't tear him down. You let him be human. And for a man who is used to carrying burdens, that kind of acceptance is priceless. It's what makes him start picturing you in his future, because deep down he knows the world will always be heavy. Challenges will always come. But if he has someone who brings him peace, he can endure anything. It's also in the way you listen, not always to fix him, not always to give answers, but just to understand. Because most men don't have a lot of spaces where they can truly talk without being judged. So when you provide that, when you let him open up without turning it into criticism or lectures, he feels something rare, and he begins to associate you with comfort and trust. And once a man connects you with trust, his heart slowly moves from liking you to choosing you. That peace comes in the laughter you share too, because peace isn't always quiet. Sometimes it's joy, sometimes it's you cracking jokes, making him smile even when life is serious. And he thinks to himself, I could go through anything as long as she's beside me, making it lighter. And that thought is powerful, because men don't dream of running from stress alone. They dream of having someone who makes the journey bearable. And when you naturally do that for him, it shifts everything in his mind. When a man experiences this consistent sense of ease with you, when he knows he doesn't have to chase drama, when he doesn't feel drained by being around you, but instead feels recharged, uplifted, strengthened, he begins to look at you differently. His tone changes, his presence becomes more consistent, and he starts investing more of himself without even announcing it, because in his heart, he's already connected peace with you. And for a man, the woman who gives him peace is the woman he secretly decides is worth giving his forever. When a man decides you're the one, a big part of that decision comes from the way you respect yourself, because men pay close attention to how you treat you. Even when they don't say it out loud, they notice the way you carry yourself, the boundaries you set, the way you won't accept just anything, and it makes them think differently about you, because a woman who respects herself sets the tone for how a man will treat her. And when he sees that you have standards, when he sees that you know your value, it changes the way he sees the future with you. It's not about being arrogant. It's not about acting like you're better than everybody. It's about showing through your actions that you know what you deserve. Because when you walk in that confidence, a man can't help but respect it, and the respect he gives you is the foundation for how he sees you long term. Men may date women they don't fully respect, but they only commit for real to the one they do. And respect starts with self-respect. So when you speak with dignity, when you refuse to settle for half effort, when you don't let a man cross certain lines, he begins to see you not as someone temporary, but as someone permanent. Men are natural testers, not always consciously, but they will push boundaries. They will try to see how much they can get away with. And if you let them get away with too much, they lose interest, because what looks like fun at first eventually turns into lack of respect. But if you stand firm, if you show him you don't bend for disrespect, he realizes he has to step up if he wants to keep you. And that's when the thought of you being the one starts entering his mind. Because deep down, every man knows the woman who makes him better is the one he can't afford to lose. He also pays attention to how you handle your own life, not just how you treat him, but how you treat yourself, whether you keep your word to yourself, whether you chase your goals, whether you protect your time, because that shows him that you won't shrink yourself just to keep someone around. And men find that deeply attractive because they want to know that the woman they choose won't depend on them for all her worth. They want to feel like she already has worth, and they are lucky to be part of her world. When he sees that kind of strength, he begins to imagine building with you instead of just passing time with you. Self-respect also shows in the way you walk away from things that don't serve you. When you don't chase someone who's clearly showing they don't value you, when you don't beg for attention, when you're willing to lose someone rather than lose yourself, that tells a man everything, because men are drawn to women who can't be shaken by games. He might test you, he might act inconsistent, but if you stay rooted in your standards, he feels it, and it makes him want to meet you at that level because he knows you won't lower yourself to his worst behavior. It's in the little choices too, like how you dress not to please everyone else, but to feel confident for yourself, how you speak in a way that shows class and self-control, how you won't gossip or tear others down just to look good. Men pick up on those things and they file them in their mind as signs of a woman who is different, a woman who values herself enough not to be desperate. And when he realizes you are not chasing him, not begging him, not settling for crumbs, he starts thinking about how he can rise up to match what you already know you deserve. And here's what happens inside of him. The more he sees your self-respect, the more he respects you. The more he respects you, the more he trusts you. And the more he trusts you, the more he opens his heart. And that's the process of how a man secretly shifts from casual interest to serious commitment, because the truth is, when you respect yourself, you teach him how to treat you. And when he recognizes that you will never tolerate less than real love, that's when he starts seeing you not just as a woman he dates, but as the one he could give his name, his time, his loyalty, and his life to. When a man is trying to figure out if you are the one, he pays very close attention to how you treat other people and how you handle life, because in his mind, the way you act when the spotlight isn't on you tells him more about your character than anything you could ever say directly to him. A man will notice how you speak to people who can't do anything for you. He'll notice how you treat the waitress at the restaurant, how you treat the cashier at the store, how you treat his friends, how you treat children, even how you treat animals. And each of those moments gets stored in his mind as evidence of the type of person you really are. Because it's one thing to be kind and charming when everything is going your way, but he's paying attention to how you are when there's nothing to gain. A man will notice your patience when things don't go according to plan, because life is full of setbacks, and he knows whoever he chooses to spend his life with will have to walk through storms with him. So he studies your reactions. If you crumble under pressure or lash out when things get tough, he files that away. But if he sees resilience, if he sees grace, if he sees that you know how to take a breath and move forward without making everything worse, he silently admires that and begins to think of you as someone who could truly build with him. Someone who doesn't add chaos to the chaos, but instead knows how to calm the storm. He also notices how you deal with conflict, not just with him, but with everyone around you, because every couple will face disagreements, and he wants to know if you are the type who screams, slams doors, holds grudges, or if you can communicate, listen, and find solutions. When he sees that you can disagree without destroying the connection, that tells him you have the maturity to last through the ups and downs. Men don't say it out loud, but they value peace in conflict. They value someone who doesn't turn every small problem into a war. And when you show that you can handle your emotions and talk things out, that goes deep into his decision making. Another thing he looks at is how you handle your responsibilities, because he knows that life is not just about dates and fun times. It's about bills, family, work, health, and unexpected struggles. So when he sees you keeping yourself together, showing up for your obligations, taking care of your priorities without falling apart, he respects that. And that respect turns into deeper trust. And that trust slowly shapes the thought in his mind that you might be the one, because to a man, consistency is more attractive than chaos, and reliability is more attractive than drama. The way you carry yourself in public versus private also matters to him. He watches to see if you are authentic, if you are the same person when no one is looking, because men want to know that the woman they commit to is real, not just putting on an act for appearances. So when he sees that your kindness isn't just a show, that your integrity is solid, whether someone notices or not, he feels a sense of security about who you are, and that security makes him feel safe imagining a future with you. He studies how you treat his family too, even in small interactions. Maybe it's how you greet his mother or how you respond to his siblings, because those things tell him what kind of partner you would be in the bigger picture. If you show respect, warmth, and patience, he sees that as a reflection of how you would fit into his world long term. And those little observations stick with him more than any dramatic gestures ever could, because for men, the details matter when they're deciding who to commit to. And he notices how you handle people you don't like, because that shows him whether you can keep your dignity even when it's hard. Anybody can be polite to someone they love, but not everybody can stay graceful with someone they don't care for. So if he sees that you don't let negativity drag you down, that you don't need to prove yourself or belittle others, he takes mental note because it shows emotional strength. And emotional strength is what convinces a man you are different from the rest to him. The way you treat others and the way you handle life's challenges is like looking into the future. He imagines how you would treat his children, how you would handle a crisis, how you would stand by him when he's at his lowest. And those thoughts are what quietly push him closer to the conclusion that you are not just someone he's with for now, but someone he can see himself with for the rest of his life when a man is deciding if you are the one. A major factor is how you believe in him and how you support his growth, because a man may walk with confidence on the outside, he may project strength, he may act like he has everything figured out, but on the inside, every man carries doubts, fears, and insecurities that he doesn't share with the world. Most men are taught to hide that, to never show weakness, to keep pushing forward like they have it all under control. But what changes everything is when he meets a woman who sees past the surface and believes in his potential, even when he doesn't always see it in himself. That kind of support doesn't just feel good. It transforms him. A man pays close attention to whether you only admire him when he's at his best or whether you still value him when he's struggling, because anybody can clap for him when he's winning. But the one who sees something in him when he's still building, that's the one he treasures when you speak life into him, when you remind him of his strengths instead of only pointing out his flaws, when you stand beside him instead of criticizing from a distance. It gets stored in his heart as proof that you are different, and it makes him quietly attach his future to you. Believing in him doesn't mean ignoring his wrongs or accepting laziness. It means holding him accountable while still reminding him that he's capable of more. Men grow when they feel trusted and respected. So if you say, I know you can do better, I believe in the man you're becoming, it hits him differently than anger ever could. It motivates him. It makes him want to rise to that image you see, because he feels like he has someone who sees the best in him, even when he's not at his best. And that feeling is rare for a man, so he clings to it. Your belief in him shows in how you respond to his dreams. If he shares an idea with you and you dismiss it, laugh at it, or tell him it's unrealistic, it makes him feel small. But if you encourage him, even in simple words like, you could really make that work, or I see you doing that, it lights a fire in him, because men want to know that the woman they choose sees their vision and supports it, not just financially or practically, but emotionally, because a man who feels supported can push twice as hard. He can endure setbacks because he knows someone is standing with him. He notices how you treat his ambition, whether you try to control it, minimize it, or whether you stand by while he chases it, because his goals are tied to his identity. And if you make him feel like he's wasting time, he associates you with doubt. But if you make him feel like he's capable, he associates you with strength, and that changes the way he sees you forever, because every man wants a partner who believes in his climb, not one who pulls him down when the climb gets steep. This belief also shows up in the little things, like how you encourage him when he's frustrated, how you don't always rush to solve his problems, but give him confidence that he can handle them, how you speak words that build him instead of words that break him, because most men live in a world that constantly criticizes them, bosses, society, sometimes even friends. So when you become the voice that uplifts instead of adds to the weight, you stand out in his mind as irreplaceable When a man feels believed in, he starts to share more of himself with you. He opens up about his fears, his failures, his plans, things he wouldn't tell just anyone, because your support makes him feel safe enough to be vulnerable, and vulnerability is the doorway to real connection for men. If he doesn't trust you to handle his weaknesses, he will never fully give his heart. But if he feels you are the one person who sees his cracks, yet still calls him strong, he gives you a part of himself he doesn't give to anyone else. And slowly that belief turns into love for you that runs deeper than attraction, because attraction can be found in many places, but genuine belief and support are rare. So when you provide that, when you become the one who reminds him he can win, when you stand in his corner while the world is against him, he quietly shifts from thinking of you as someone in his present to thinking of you as someone in his forever. When a man is on the journey of deciding if you are the one, a powerful shift happens inside of him when he realizes that you inspire him to be better, because men may act like got everything under control, like they don't need anyone's influence. But the truth is that every man is quietly shaped by the energy of the woman in his life. And if that energy pushes him toward growth, discipline, and purpose, he begins to associate you with the best version of himself. And that's a bond he does not want to let go of, because the woman who challenges him to rise higher without tearing him down becomes unforgettable to him. He pays attention to the way you live your own life, because inspiration doesn't just come from words. It comes from watching. It comes from seeing how you chase your own goals, how you carry yourself with strength and grace, how you refuse to settle for less than you deserve. When he watches you making moves, staying consistent, keeping standards for yourself, it silently pushes him to do more too. Men don't always admit it, but they measure themselves against the woman they love. And if she's disciplined, he wants to be disciplined. If she's driven, he wants to step up. If she's grounded, he wants to match that. And slowly he starts to reshape himself to be worthy of the place you've given him. This inspiration comes out in conversations too, not the lectures or the nagging, but the way you can challenge him with love. When you speak in a way that uplifts and still holds him accountable, it makes him want to meet the standard you believe he can reach. And the more he feels that you are pulling the best out of him, the deeper his connection to you becomes, because men are often told by the world what they are not, what they lack, where they failed. But when you show him what he can become, when you remind him of the greatness inside of him, he connects the growth to you, and suddenly your presence becomes a necessity, not just a desire. A man knows the difference between a woman who criticizes and a woman who inspires. Criticism breaks him down. Inspiration builds him up. Criticism makes him defensive. Inspiration makes him motivated. And when he feels inspired by you, he doesn't resist it. He leans into it, because he wants to hold on to the person who makes him strive to reach higher. He wants to keep close the one who sees in him a leader, a builder, a protector, even before he fully steps into that role. And the fact that you can see what's possible for him before it's visible to everyone else plants the seed in his heart that you are meant to be in his future. It also shows in how you carry yourself during his low seasons, when he's stuck, when he's unsure, when life has knocked him down. If you're the one who doesn't just pity him, but pushes him, reminding him that he's stronger than he feels in that moment, you become the voice in his head that doesn't let him quit. And every man remembers the woman who stood by him not by babying him, but by calling out his strength. That memory attaches to his idea of you being the one, because it proves that you don't just love who he is today, you love who he can be tomorrow. The way you handle your own challenges also inspires him. If you handle your setbacks with resilience, if you bounce back instead of staying defeated, he notices that, and it makes him want to mirror your strength, because men admire women who can keep going even when things are rough. He sees that as a sign of inner power, and when you display that power, it lights something inside of him that says, I can't let her down. I have to grow too. And that kind of mutual inspiration becomes the foundation of a lasting connection. He starts to imagine a future with you, not just because you make him comfortable, but because you make him better. He thinks about how much further he can go with you by his side without you. And that thought reshapes the way he treats you, because men protect and invest in the people who elevate their lives, not the people who drain them. So the more you inspire him to grow, the more he begins to see you as essential to his destiny. And that's when the idea of you being the one begins to root itself deeply in his heart. When a man has secretly decided that you are the one, the signs rarely come out of his mouth at first. They show in the way he starts showing up for you, because men are not always quick with words. They may not say what they feel right away, but their actions will reveal it long before they speak it. He begins to move differently. He begins to prioritize differently. He begins to act in a way that proves you matter to him. And while he may still keep it to himself in the early stages, his behavior will make it clear that something inside him has shifted. A man who is serious about you will start making time, even when he has none, because time is one of the clearest indicators of where a man's heart is. If he makes excuses, if he disappears, if he keeps you waiting, he hasn't chosen you. But once he has secretly made that decision, you'll notice he carves out space for you. He rearranges things just to see you. He sacrifices convenience to be present. And he does it not because you demanded it, but because he wants to, because his heart has already placed you in a different category. He also starts protecting you in subtle ways. Maybe it's walking you to your car. Maybe it's making sure you're safe when you get home. Maybe it's checking on you when he knows you've had a rough day. These small gestures might not seem like much, but they are his natural instinct to guard what he values. When a man decides you're the one, he thinks of you in terms of responsibility, and that responsibility shows up as protection, not always grand gestures, but consistent little acts that prove he's watching out for you. Another way he shows it is by listening differently. Before, he might have heard you, but not stored the details. But now you'll notice he remembers what you say. He recalls things you mentioned weeks ago. He pays attention to what matters to you, and he makes mental notes. This shift happens because you're no longer just another voice to him. You are the voice he wants to learn, understand, and honor. So when you see a man suddenly becoming more attentive, it's often because in his mind, you've already moved from temporary to permanent. Consistency is another signal, because a man who hasn't chosen you will come and go. His energy will be unpredictable, but once he secretly decides you are the one, he stabilizes, he stops playing hot and cold, he communicates more regularly, he shows up when he says he will, and his actions start lining up with his words, because now he feels accountable. And men only hold themselves accountable to the women they take seriously, That consistency is his silent way of saying you are not just someone he's passing time with. You are someone he's building trust with. He will also start including you in his future in little ways, not necessarily with big announcements, but with casual comments like mentioning plans months ahead and assuming you'll be there, asking for your opinion on decisions that affect his life, slowly opening the door for you to step into his long-term vision. And he does this naturally because once his heart has decided you're the one, his mind starts reorganizing his world around you. And his language will give that away before his lips ever confess it outright. A man who has chosen you will also make sacrifices. He will give up certain habits, environments, or people that don't align with keeping you, not because you forced him, but because he recognizes that protecting what he has with you matters more. When he starts cutting off distractions, when he chooses your happiness over his convenience, that is him declaring through actions that you are worth the effort. Men don't change for everyone. They only adjust their lifestyle when they feel the person they are with is worth holding on to. And the final way his decision shows is in the way he invests, not just money, but energy, effort, and thought. He'll fix things for you without you asking. He'll go out of his way to make your day easier. He'll show up when you're sick. He'll be present when you're stressed. And the more he does this consistently, the more it becomes obvious that his heart has already chosen, because men don't pour into something they don't see lasting. They only build where they want to stay. And when his actions show steady investment, that's the clearest proof he has already secretly decided that you are the one